Hello, everybody. Justin Stivers. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Stivers show. Very excited about my guest today. Good friend of mine, a golfing buddy of mine, close colleague, Marcell Hetenyi, CPA partner with the CPA firm of Schechner and Hetenyi. Marcell, what's going on, brother?
Hi, how are you, Justin? Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Doing fantastic. Can't complain.
Awesome, brother. Well, we talk regularly, and we've kind of, both of our businesses have been affected, and a lot of our clients have been affected by what's going on with the coronavirus and all of that. And I thought we were speaking a couple of days ago, made sense to have you on, because I know you've got a lot of clients who are affected by it. And I, kind of what we were talking before we got on here is that there's probably a lot of things that, business owners, individuals need to be aware of, need to plan for. And I don't want to, make this doom and gloom, because there's too much of that, going on, right now anyways. But there are some probably proactive steps that just people probably need to be aware of. And I know you're a wealth of knowledge for myself, both personal, professional, and for a lot of other people. So I thought it made sense to have you on here, man. But where I always like to start, I know a lot of people know you, but who are you and what do you do?
Well, I am Marcell Hetenyi. I am a CPA with the firm Schechner and Hetenyi PL. We have an office in Palmetto Bay and another one in Coral Gables. And we are a full-service boutique accounting firm. We do all individual and corporate returns and all other ancillary services that go with that. And we primarily specialize in IRS tax problem resolution, international taxation, and trust and estate accounting. Those are the three things that probably set us apart from other competing accounting firms. But again, we do handle all more simple or more run-of-the-mill returns. Anything with businesses, anything with individuals, we are happy to help.
Well, how'd you get into it? Always been one to be a CPA, or?
Not exactly. I'm a millennial, so I actually was into computers when I was younger. Got my undergrad in MIS, or at least started getting my undergrad in MIS, thinking that's all I'm going to do. Then Y2K came and went, and we realized that the world did not end. All of a sudden, the jobs didn't really exist anymore. So I said, you know what, let's get into finance. That way I could go into banking or whatever else in case things don't work out. Then as I graduated, I ended up getting an opportunity to work for an accounting firm. And I said, you know what, let's give it a shot. I really enjoyed my accounting classes in college. And even though I didn't major in it, between MIS and finance, I took enough accounting courses that I think I could do this. And then I ended up going back to get a master's in accounting because I actually ended up enjoying what I do. And then I got a master's in forensic accounting to be exact. That was at the time FAU had Florida Atlantic University in Boca had the only forensic accounting program in the nation. So I attended that. I passed my CPA. I'm now licensed in California and in Florida. And then I became a partner with my current firm, or a partner at my current firm in 2009. And the rest is history.
Awesome. I didn't know you're licensed in California. Do you have clients out there? Or?
I have lots of clients. Fortunately for us CPAs, we are not state specific, so I don't have to be licensed in California to be able to help a California client. We have a lot of clients in New York, California, Hawaii. Actually, the other day I did the math. We have them, I think, in 28 states out of the 50. We don't necessarily have clients that we certainly file returns in 28 out of the 50 states. So I don't have to be licensed in California, but it's just nice because we do have a lot of clients out there, and California does have a lot of more complex tax issues.
So, right now, I know this is kind of your busy season anyways, right? I mean, I know CPAs work like 2 months of the year. So like this is your busy time anyways before all of this happened, right? Or on the tail end of it, or?
Correct. This we were going into our really busy time when, of course, the whole coronavirus thing hit. And even though we did get an extension until July 15, a lot of states were very slow to follow that. So we continued to churn on, and a lot of people needed, they wanted their refunds, or they wanted to know how much they owed, or so ultimately we never really slowed down. Fortunately, I guess, compared to some other businesses out there. So we continued to work. And then, of course, once the CARES Act came around, we had to, real quickly get up to date on that and assist our clients with whatever benefits they can get from the help that's out there.
And just before we kind of, dive into some of that stuff that's going on right now, just to maybe give people watching an idea, do you have whether you want to say or can say size or industry or kind of typical client that you're kind of, bread and butter type of client?
It's hard to tell. We don't really have a specific industry that we prefer. Most of my clients happen to be in the service industry. A lot of them are attorneys, insurance people, investors. It could be a variety. We do have a number of manufacturing clients. Pretty much the only two industries that I don't really get involved with because they're just very unique and you have to really know that industry to be good at it is restaurants and construction. So I don't really get involved with restaurant business and construction business. Outside of that, I'm pretty much able to handle anything else, and we have handled pretty much everything else. There's only a handful of things we really don't do. We don't do any kind of financial statement auditing. So if somebody needs audited, reviewed, or compiled financial statements, I'll be happy to refer them to somebody, but we don't do that. We don't do business valuation. That's, again, requires a specific expert that handles just that. And we also don't do complex litigation. So we have a small office of only about 6 people, with part-time employees, a total of 8. And so if we get a not large complex case that, somebody shows up with a U-Haul truck full of documents, I can't really shut the office down for 2 months to go over that. So that's also best left to the experts. We handle smaller litigations. I maybe get called in as an expert witness for something here and there. But by and large, we're tax guys. That's really our specialty. That's where we earn our living. Tax issues, whether it's just preparing the return, defending your return, dealing with tax-related problems, that's really our bread and butter. And the more complex, the more we can earn our keep. So if somebody happens to have a lot of rental properties, a lot of investments, a complex business, pretty much anybody out there that has a business, they need to have a CPA to help them with their return. They can have a bookkeeper, but the actual tax return should be prepared by a qualified person that's either an EA, which is an enrolled agent, or a CPA. Anybody else that does not have those designations is probably not qualified to help you out, and you're probably missing out on certain things that may be out there to help you.
So with that, kind of, teeing it up, what you guys do and what you handle, what are you seeing with everything going on right now? I'm just gonna open this up. Are there any specific issues that you're seeing your clients, other than maybe not being able to deliver the service that, their business is based around? Is there anything that they're coming to you for, that you're seeing, as a direct result of everything that's going on right now?
Absolutely, yes. I have spent countless hours over the last month or so assisting people with the various issues that the CARES Act that came around as a result of the coronavirus and the shutdown and everything else. And there's a lot of different SBA loans that are available for people. Everybody's talking about the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, but that's just one of the many. There's a lot of other. The great part about the PPP is it has a portion that will be forgiven, so you never have to pay that back, which is great. But many people just need cash, and doesn't really matter. We will deal with the payback period at the end. There's a lot of other great programs out there where you can borrow money at very, very favorable terms. You can pay it back over a long term with a low interest rate that will help you stay afloat if your business is currently completely shut down. Which unfortunately a lot of businesses are out there, whether it's gyms or restaurants or movie theaters, whatever it may be. There's a ton of businesses we could name that are currently completely out of business, and those people can apply for all these loans. We help them. I'm not saying I'm an expert at every single SBA loan type. A lot of attorneys have geared their practices recently towards that, so you're probably better off taking one of those attorneys on and have them explain all the different options. But once you pick the one you like, we can definitely help with the application process. We have also helped many people with the PPP applications, since that has a lot of accounting issues that need to be addressed in the application. And even though that program is temporarily halted, meaning we ran out of the first $349 billion that was allocated to it, there is another, at least what appears to be about another $450 billion that it will be funded with. So if you did not make the cut, don't give up. Continue with your application, continue talking to your banker, continue getting the documents ready. submit it or be ready to submit it as soon as the program has funds again. It's a great program, and it's practically free money. So
Yeah.
just go ahead. You can't miss.
So I was going to ask you, is that kind of your advice right now to your clients, is just, pick one, pick two, and just apply? Because I saw, on a lot of just attorney message forums and all these things that I'm a part of, for like weeks, people were just like, I don't know if I should apply. And then at the end of it, they were like, oh crap, we're out of money now. It's like too late to apply. And so I don't know. Are you telling your clients, listen, if you need the money, maybe, and if you don't need the money, even if you don't need the money right now, we don't know how long this is going to go on. So just get in there and apply, or what's your, general advice been?
It depends on the client. I have a few clients that have seriously big problems. I have a client who services cruise ships, and that's really their job, and it's a multi-million-dollar business. And currently they're not doing anything. They're not getting any money. They are just completely out. I have a couple of gyms again that just completely shut down. Those guys need survival money. That's not for, will I have to pay this? No, they need literally survival money of how can we make this survive and stay afloat until we can get back to normal. Those guys need something a lot more robust and powerful than just a PPP. They need, in many cases, millions of dollars so they can pay their rent, pay their employees, continue to operate. So those guys need to attack the big boys, and they need to do it fast. The PPP is a great short-term solution. It's basically based upon, you take the 2019 payroll, average it out, so you divide it by 12 times 2.5. So if you each year you have, let's say, $120,000 in payroll, then on the monthly basis that's $10,000, so you can get $25,000 in this loan. And that $25,000, so long as you use it for payroll and rent and mortgage or utilities between February 15 and June 30th of 2020, it will be forgiven. Now, even though you can use it for rent and mortgage and utilities, those expenses don't go into the calculations. It's strictly based on how much you paid on payroll in 2019, or if you were not around for all of 19, then there's a special algorithm of how to factor it in the month that you were open. And that's pretty much it. So for most people, that's not an awful lot of money. It's not going to keep you afloat forever. It will help you with some of the payroll, but between February 15 and June 15, there's 4 months, and they're only giving you 2.5 months of payroll. So even just that period, it will not help you with the payroll. So that's a great thing. If we just need a little extra help, then yes, by all means apply. And even if you don't need a little extra help, as long as you kept everybody around, you can certainly apply and have the money and enjoy. And maybe help out some of your employees, give them a little extra bonus. Maybe their spouses cannot work, so maybe you could use that money. If you're continuing to go, let's say you're an IT company, let's say you're a certain type of attorney that did not take a hit, you can still take the money. And if you want to be nice, help out your employees. Maybe their spouse is out of work, maybe their child is out of work, maybe their parent is out of work. Do the best you can with the funds you get.
Do you think that, because this is obviously very unprecedented, and do you foresee a whole lot of tax issues after this is over, filings for 2020?
Absolutely. And that is the number one advice I'm giving to all my clients and pretty much absolutely everybody out there. I've been through the 2008 and 9 crisis, which was not, it's a very different crisis from this, but the lessons learned from it apply to this situation very much so. If anything, it applies exponentially. The number one advice I can give to everybody is file your returns. It is absolutely crucial to file your tax returns. Too many people have weathered that storm, and I'm afraid too many people will not hear this and weather this storm by not filing returns and not paying taxes. Don't worry about the tax payments. Even if you cannot do it, there's all kinds of ways to deal with IRS. You can do an installment plan, an offering compromise. You can go bankrupt if need be. You can set up a payment plan. There's just a million ways to handle the tax that you may not be able to pay, but you cannot possibly do any of that without filing your return. And so, for example, if, let's say, God forbid, the last resort is you just have to go bankrupt, that's your only way out of this problem. Well, taxes cannot be abated or forgiven in bankruptcy court until they have been assessed for at least 240 days. Similarly, IRS is not going to be willing to entertain the idea of an offering compromise or an installment plan until you're up to date on your filings. And I have had too many people in 2010, 11, and 12, more like maybe even 11, 12, and 13, who all of a sudden, after things started getting better, they needed a mortgage, they wanted to file some immigration paperwork for their girlfriend, whatever the reason may be that they needed to show that they're up to date on their filings, they now had to come to me and file 3-4 returns in a row. And of course, it's not like they had everything ready to go and they just forgot to submit. We had to now go back and spend a lot more time digging up what happened 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It delayed their bankruptcy, it delayed their spouse's immigration, it delayed their mortgage application. And of course, the return that normally would have cost, let's say, $1,000 ended up costing easily twice that because of the extra complications. So do file your returns right now, especially if you're one of the people that are going to have negative consequences. Odds are you have time at home. Gather your 19 documents, send it to your attorney or your CPA rather, and similarly, don't fall behind no matter what the future holds with your filing. That's my number one recommendation to everybody.
Yeah, and do you think? I mean, what's your? I know you're got a lot of opinions, and where do you see this going? What do you think? Are we ending soon, or what's going on?
Look, obviously, there's absolutely no precedence. We have had pandemics before. We had the plague, we had the Spanish flu, and the Spanish flu is probably the closest because that was relatively worldwide. Back in the days of the plague, by the time you went from A to B, it took so long. There was just no way. We didn't have the steam engines or anything along those lines. At least in 1918, you could cross by that time the Atlantic in about 4 days. So you could spread all kinds of problems pretty quickly, but we still didn't have what we are doing right now. The entire world is shut down. I was born and raised in Hungary. My family is still back there. They're doing the same exact thing. My nephews are Zoom conferencing for school the same way as my kids are. My brother is working from home through Zoom the same way as I am. So we're all doing the same thing. So it's all about how we're going to open back up, and are we going to rush it? Is there going to be a problem? I know some people, especially the ones that are hurting the most, are really, really, really eager to open back up. But my fear is if we open back up too fast, then we're going to get a resurgence of this issue, or the medical facilities will be overwhelmed. And right now, it looks like it's a lot of hassle for nothing. I think Florida is currently at like 27,000 cases and well under 1,000 deaths. Well, if you compare that to the 12 million population we have in Florida, that's a rounding error. It's very, very small. But yes, that is because the flattening of the curve is working. That is because what we are doing, all this sacrifice that we're doing is working. And we don't have to forget that there's a back end to that bell curve. And if we don't treat that right, and if we don't wait for that to go low enough, then we could have another spike. Just like in certain countries, it's already happening. In China and certain other Asian countries that handled this before we did, they're seeing a resurgence. So that's a potential concern. I think if we do it right, it will normalize faster. But obviously, as everybody says, and again, I'm no expert at this, I'm not an immunologist, I can't really say it, but until we have some sort of solution, whether it's a vaccine or some sort of cocktail of drugs, we're not going to go back to what we considered to be the normal before this.
Yeah. Well, the cocktail of drug for most people right now is alcohol. That seems
that may be, unfortunately, for a lot of people. That is, yes, certainly.
Well, I know we're running up on our time, and so I want to just end a couple 2 questions here. And so I know you said that maybe the biggest piece of advice is make sure people are getting their taxes filed right now. Is there anything else that just practical? Because I know a lot of people maybe watching this are either working and they're trying to figure out, should they take a loan? Should they not take out a loan? For some people, we were talking, before we started recording, that one of your pieces of advice is, have a line of credit just in case when you need it for times exactly like this. Now is probably not the time that you're going to get the line of credit. But any other, practical advice you'd give to people out there?
Yes, fortunately or unfortunately, the 3 things that I have been saying since day one of my career is now more than ever coming back to prove itself right. It's not to toot my own horn. It's not to tell anybody I told you so. But there's three very important things that I think everybody needs to have in their life, some of which you can set up now, some of which you cannot. Number one, as you mentioned, is a line of credit. You want to have that line of credit when times are good. It's very, very hard to go out now that you have a major drop in income, no money is coming in, you have expenses up the eyeballs. It's a difficult now. But if you, once things normalize, if you don't have a line of credit now, you should have a business line of credit and a personal line of credit. It's gonna be very comforting to have that, you know, $50, $100, $200,000 credit facility available in case things go wrong. And even if you don't use it for years, now would be fantastic to have it, if nothing else, as a fallback position. So that's always very, very important. Number two is to have your personal banker. If you have a business, you want to bank with a bank where you can have your personal banker who is on the end of the line and you can call them. You don't want to have to call an 800 number. I hear a lot of nightmares with people that are banking with large banks where they don't have their own bankers. Let's name them. Bank of America and Wells Fargo are two big ones. And they're having a very, very, very hard time applying for a PPP loan because an attorney can help you apply for it. A CPA can help you apply for it, but ultimately it goes through the banks. And ultimately it goes through the bank that you bank with. And I hear that actually there's legal proceedings against some of those banks because they favoritized, they prioritized their larger clients. The small mom and pop people for whom the PPP loan was designed got left behind because they wanted to get the guys who are going to get the $10, $15 million loans. That's a problem. I happen to bank with the bank where I have my own banker, and it really made a huge difference. Not just for a PPP loan application, but also for all other help during this time. I don't have to call an 800 number and be on hold for 2 hours. I can just get directly via email or phone in touch with my person. So that's those are two main things. And then the other thing, which everybody else is talking about, and sometimes it's easier said than done, but have 6 to 12 months of expenses saved up. It's very, very comforting to know that, you know, if between the 6 to 12 months of expenses saved up and the line of credit, you know that even if you gotta dip down, you're not gonna go into negative. You're not gonna have to go bankrupt. You're not gonna have to, you know, have major financial issues. Nobody wants to touch their savings before retirement, but I would much rather do that than have to go bankrupt and start from negative and ruin my credit and have everything messed up. So if you don't have that now, and I know it's difficult, but as things normalize, that should be a very, very, very high priority for everybody.
Awesome. I think that's great advice. Marcell, thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. How can people get in contact with you, find you, hire you, pick your brain, all that good stuff?
Well, I am very much available. They can, well, the name of the firm is Schechner and Hetenyi PL. They can look us up online and our contact information is there. They can also call the office at 305-379-0603. That's the main line, and they can get a hold of me there, or they can always send me an email, which is a great form of communication nowadays. And my email address is mh@cpa-sh.com. And any one of those methods are a great way to get a hold of me, and I'd be happy to help with anybody. I do offer a free initial consultation, so anytime you have any questions, I'm available.
Yeah, definitely want to take advantage of that. So Marcell, thank you, sir. Stay safe. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you.